Well, hello, it's Lee. Well, this video is going to be about bullying and the causes of, or what I feel to be some of the root causes, at least, of bullying and gossiping, and just basically the cruelty or the malice, the defensiveness in the soul that seeks to lash out. Think of bullying in any form and you can come up with, very many of your own ideas of it. And a lot of us have been subject to it, and a lot of us have done it. I actually think if we're going to be speaking in all fairness to ourselves, perhaps we've all been a victim and we've all victimized at one point or another. Doesn't mean to great varying degrees, but even small subtle manipulations are present. Point being, the common vibe or the common themes within us, they're all present, and they are a natural thing, but it is of course for us to overcome to varying degrees. Let's just say the negativity that is present and how to conquer it, because our biggest enemy is our own self, and it is not necessarily someone else. But we are all similar, we all feel the same things, we're all capable of the same things and have the same potentials. So when we analyze something, it can be very much understood as common, as a natural essence, as it were. So, putting that aside, it's been said before, and it's probably so true, is simply that when someone is doing some kind of an attack against someone else, it is for the sake of having an imbalance within. This is due to various fears, this is due to various insecurities, this is due to the sense, perhaps a distorted sense of vengeance or revenge. This can be enacted out in a multitude of ways. Now, people that feel weak, or people that, that's part of it, people that feel lacking a strength of a certain kind, wish to gain a strength of a certain kind. We all look to be empowered in one way or the other. And when someone is doing something that is in a malicious nature or an aggressive maneuver against someone else, certainly when it is unprovoked and someone's just being, well, as it were, nasty or vicious, then the question has to be, what was the cause and the root of that aggression? Until someone is willing to look inside and see what is the root of it, then there will never perhaps be a closure or in essence, a basic understanding as to why they're acting like that. Maybe that there can be, as it is a problem, what could be a solution for it? Now, there are very many ways in which we can say the masculine and the feminine essences enact things. People can be bullies with, threats and intimidation. It's really pretty much, it does come down to a basis on fear and ignorance. When somebody is feeling fearful, then they are promoting their own fears. What it comes down to as well, at its root, is it is a cry for help. Amazingly enough, we often like to say, when looking at human behavior, we like to say, kids are so cruel for studying children, for example, but it doesn't stop there, right? It can go. We often would like to think that by the time someone is a mature adult, that they would have diplomacy and some self-control and some understanding, and not just reacting rashly all the time. But we can still be susceptible to it. And many people still, who have not been challenged, either by an outside way, getting a meeting of minds or something to start the cause of an inner reflection, if they're not getting it from an outside answer, as it were, and they're not finding a means to look within, then it just never develops into the question of, maybe I should look inside and see what's wrong truly, and try to purge these negative feelings and this fear that I have and possess. So we understand that this is a common thing, and there are very many solutions to it. A lot of people are looking for what it does really come down to is some form of attention to the self, some healing that somebody is looking for. When someone is even gossiping and saying, hey, let's make fun of that person, like, a bunch of people picking on one person or a smaller group or something like that, that is to take the attention off of the majority and put it on the minority, so that the majority is not looking what inwardly within themselves may be wrong. It doesn't matter who instigates it or who starts it, but what within is wrong. In this world right now, we see a very interesting abundance of very strange yin-yang effects, where, let's just say in that scenario, that there is a majority that is putting pressure on a minority, but perhaps the minority is not in the wrong at all. In many cases, this is very much it. Let's just say that there, when we think of school, when we think of like when younger children and such, we think of bullies picking on someone, and more often than not, because they see a sign of weakness. If the person, more often than not, perhaps the person being picked on is shy and quiet, perhaps more introvert, a little different, a little more innocent. There could be a lot of reasons. And when the aggressor or the aggressors feel something like, it's like not wishing to acknowledge within their own self what is wrong and how they maybe could be like that person, for example. Because there can be reasons of jealousy, there can be reasons of confusion, there can be reasons of coming again to feel strong, like, oh, I'm getting strength with the pack, so I'm feeling this. There can be basic forms of there can be a predatory nature, and even within this framework, from child to adult, it is based upon the lack of understanding or the lack of insight within the person, his or herself. And I guess it is surely a problem in society, and until people are willing to realize that we are all common, we have common roots, we have the common themes, we have the common fears and pains, we have the common hopes and joys. And as long as, what I'm trying to say is, as long as there is a sense to promote the idea of a competition, or in order for me to feel good, I need to feel above someone, as long as this persists, as long as this is recycled generation to generation, then these problems are going to endure to some degree. But I do believe firmly that for very many of us, we are getting above this immature state, or the state in which we are not looking within, because for so many countless decades, centuries, etc., everything was putting so much focus on the outside, especially in the culmination of what happened in the West. And this is modernizing the world, and it's all these external things, but at the same time, to counterbalance it, as we're looking at all these external things, now also the focus is returning to the internal. What am I, who am I, etc. So when we can address internal problems, like when we think of studying something, like even at school, or in college and university and later on in life lessons, we're thinking of studying subjects and objects, but we have to understand to put also on within the self. When somebody is being a bully, when someone's being aggressive, when somebody is being an antagonist, when somebody is being a shit disturber, or whatever you like to call it, then already, even just a simple child, if they were asked as to why that person's doing it, they would have the answer. The person, okay, like I could ask my kids and say, why do you think that other kid is being like that? And they said, well, angry. Yeah, it could be angry. It could be sad. It could be hurt. It could be neglected. A lot of the time, and as I was saying some minutes ago, a lot of the time it has to do with a neglect. And when there is a neglect from parental structure or society, or you're born into the world, and there's a layer or two or three of generations, And if there's not nurturing and the right level of teaching, then when there is a feeling of neglect, there's a feeling of security, insecurities and fears, and these sort of things. Then this ends up building, the outcome of it ends up being one or the other. It's the person's beating themselves up, or is looking to bring others down in order to feel good. And even when we are beating ourselves up, it is feeling guilty, feeling ashamed, shameful, and ultimately it's looking for a closure, it's looking for an answer, it's looking for relief. Either of the outcomes are looking for relief. Knowingly not in a conscious way, but subconsciously certainly, and deep within the heart, that is the cry for help, that is the desire. So it's a very common thing, it's worldwide. It's not to blame this or that. All eras possess these pains, we're the same souls. All the cultures and all the styles, people are people, the souls are souls. And these things can be addressed with an internal adjustment, a fine-tuning, focusing back to self, to proper identity. It's going to be a sip of water. To proper identity. And it ultimately boils down to is a self-acceptance. When we are able to accept ourselves, not, well, I guess I'm a sinner, I might as well continue to be that. That's not real self-acceptance. That is still, oh, well, I'll get attention, and I know if I do that, then someone's going to give me that. That's, that is not real self-acceptance. For one example, real self-acceptance ultimately and inevitably comes down to calm and peace and diplomacy when it's culminating in its highest form. This is a natural default. So what I would hope to see is, in the times to come, the schooling systems and the society in general to adjust, to put less neglect and less distractions from the self. And the more we can put, like if we had in schools classes on what is the human, what is the self, how do we deal with bad feelings, and these things are coming and they're being developed and they're arising. There should be questions as to what is the root cause of someone that's doing bullying in school, for example. And when the person who is, I could think of from young childhood to older, to even in present times, when I think of my own experiences, when I think of the stories of others, when I think of bullying in any way, intimidation and all sorts of things, I'm thinking of the fact that the ones who are doing it are as much victim as the ones who are receiving it, in the sense that both need the attention to make an adjustment, to feel happy. Because when it comes down to it, a person that is happy and has done the real self-acceptance, the inner work, has done the shadow work, not afraid to look at what's wrong with you. A lot of people are afraid to admit that there's something wrong with them. But we all have little things that we need to work on. So it's not to be in denial. You see, if we would all accept ourselves as children of the universe, as equals, life is equal to itself. If we all look at ourselves as equals in the kinship of one, then our highest identity goes with Source. We really see ourselves as little packages of the God, if we want to call it that, of the Godhead, of the Prime Being. And this is true identity. And when we do this, then the competition, the fighting, the insecurities, the need to feel strong, the desperate attempts at power to feel something. There's a cessation of the negative ways in which to attain this, and there comes a great peace, a great wisdom that is natural. So I would wish to see it more and more in our schools and our society, and it is here more than ever before, and it will increase. To have the understanding to look within and to feel accepting the self, having a real sense of true identity, and when there are some things that are negative within us, yes, a lot of times it is a fear. It is a fear to look at it and to deal with it and to nurture it properly. We all have our denials to things, and we all have our cries for help, our pleas, our pleading and our pleas to gain a fix. But when we're able to do this in a healthy way and in a non-destructive way to self or to others, then the natural healing is always there. Then the ways, like giving yourself tools and skills with which to make that fine-tuning and with which to help others to do it. Because we talk about eye for an eye, but then on the other hand, that just recycles the problem. So if we say, when someone is being aggressive to us, perhaps we can give them attention and say, why are you feeling bad? Putting the attention back to the bully, as it were, and then have them do an internal search and ask the questions. As souls who are here in the human bodies, we can be very proud, we can be very resistant, very hesitant, but we don't need to be. We don't have to prove, we don't have to try and put on an air of perfection. Nobody is, how should we say it? We are all perfect in the sense that we're all perfectly going to something fantastic, but none of us is the one perfect standard. So we can look at ourselves and say, okay, whatever is wrong with me, I need to fix it. We don't have to be proud and fight each other and compete, because this is all distractions and denials. Rather, we can look at it in a harmonious way towards enlightenment, towards our next level, towards the new age, and embrace. Hanging on to pain, hanging on to suffering. A lot of it has to do, yes, indeed, with that lack of true self-acceptance, with an ego that is misplaced, with the identities that are sort of real but kind of not. I am this and I am that. And the styles and things we adopt. You could take anyone from anywhere in the country, transfer them over, especially when young, and they could adapt and be like that. It's like acting a style out, but it's not necessarily the truest identity. So these are the things we can look at. When people are being malicious, when people are bullying, when people are backbiting, when people are gossiping, it's trying to take the attention off the hurt that one doing it, the aggressor, take the attention off them, put on someone else. It's like daring for someone to challenge them or fix them. And it is very much a cry for help. It's a very out loud cry for help. And it's to turn the attention back within. Why do you feel sad and angry that you're doing that? You see, when we feel, it's about trying to gain our power and trying to gain our maturity. When we feel that there's no one to help us, we can say, well, screw it, I'm going to be aggressive or I'm going to self-destruct myself. But we can try our best to realize the nature of suffering and the causes why, and having a clear mind to look at the emotions, to join mind and heart, then the healing is natural, because these are all common things that we all share. And if someone is happy, so another can be. So if you are someone that is being bullied or picked on or having something, whether it could be in a variety of ways, it can be in a school setting, it could be in a workplace setting, it could be a common human thing in a variety of ways. We try to understand the reason why that's coming, and when we look at it even just a little bit, then we understand why. And we can find and promote good solutions for it. It's a work in progress. Each person should feel the empowerment to be, well, a bringer of peace or a diplomat for this stuff, and spread the knowledge and the wisdom and the love, and we can see a lot of good increases. It is time in the world now to put more and more and more emphasis and focus on the self, the totality of the person, not the 3D appearance, not what is merely on the surface, but the totality and the real identity and rise. People are bored in school, we have high dropout rates, we have higher suicide rates than ever, and all sorts of things. These are terrible things. This is neglect. We're neglecting something, we're neglecting the true self, we're neglecting the spirituality. If we take time to work on ourselves, realizing the nature of all is common, and then we can heal self and heal others as best we can. And even as a work in progress. The idea to do it, because we are worth it. All of us are worth it. We are worth more than we've been told. Humans have been hard on humans. But then there have been great messages coming to us that are saying you're so much more than that. From history up until now and in the future. Let's remember it. Let's embrace our real identity as being fantastically beautiful and amazingly capable micro-gods. We can call them what we will. But that's true. Well, I wish you the best. You know, the more we look at our own self, the more we understand others, the more we look at others, the more we understand the self, its natural thing. That was a nice quote from, I don't remember who had said it, but it was a very cute saying. And it said to the effect of the best way to become holy is just to look at others, to focus on people. Not to push away and justify, you do your thing, I do my thing, let's fight, let's compete, I gotta take care of me. No. These are still denials and a lack of want to work on shadow self and a lack of want to accept as a true being of light, love, wisdom, understanding. When we do it, we all feel very fantastic because it's fulfilling our highest calling. When someone is not up there and then they're feeling down, then they don't have a feeling of self-worth. We figure upon ourselves just how amazing and worthy we are. Letting go of guilt and the shame. Even if we did something even recently, we did something a long time ago. Releasing the fear, the guilt, the shame, and being like a phoenix and rising again even from your own ashes. Ever new, more chances forever and always. There is always a tomorrow, and we can do it. We can become stronger, wiser, happier, healthier, better. When heart and mind have the agreement that when heart and mind both want it, and they do, especially the heart, the mind is tricky. But when the mind and heart especially join together and do, it's automatic. So we can understand bullies, we can understand the same weaknesses within us. We can also understand the same glory that is for all of us to have. Perfectly, very much. Guaranteed. Well, that's my message for today. I wish you the very best. Hope you have a beautiful weekend, whatever the time it is for you. And please remember to love yourself very much. And by doing the correct self-love and feeling happy and worthy, it is so much easier to love other people and understand where they're coming from. I gotta quote the French proverb again. To forgive all is to understand all, or to understand all is to forgive all. Let's try it. Take care for now. Catch you soon. Bye.